So what you've seen lately from Indiana, are they different from last time? Do your priorities change at all, or
no? I think
break
it's
that down for us.
Obviously very similar. The personnel is the same. Obviously, we both have more experiences and more games and more tape to watch. I think anytime you get at the end of the year, you've seen somebody, and your focus really is your own team. If you don't beat yourself, you're definitely going to give yourself a better chance than if obviously you do. But they put you in a bind, breaking you down off the dribble, and they put you in a bind, obviously, with their ability to post up and go at you. And so, like, those two things, we gave up so many layups against them the first time, whether that was in transition or in the half court. They did a really good job of breaking us down and getting to the paint and scoring the basketball and getting us behind plays. And I think that started with our 10 turnovers in the first half. They still got us when we didn't turn the ball over, and they just attacked us. And obviously Rob Finney had a big hand in that first half, the way he played. That was the best half that he's played all year. But we just didn't do a good job on a couple of his drives more than anything. He made a couple tough jump shots, but his drives to get in the paint. So I think we got to do a better job in that area. We got to do a better job taking care of the basketball. And then obviously Trace Jackson-Davis didn't play a lot in the game because of foul trouble. So that kind of helped us, but kind of hurt us also. It's like one of those things where it opened it up, especially in the first half for other people. So, you guys want to talk to Coach Katie? He'll have a lot. He'd love to answer your questions. Go ahead.
That'll probably be an hour and a half phone call, huh?
He'd have probably the same answers that I would.
Any concern on your part about your team's energy after a couple of deflating losses there at the end?
No, I think it's the other way, if anything. Like, you're excited about anytime you have tough losses, you're excited about getting back out there to play again.
In that first IU game, I think Zach and Travion had their lowest combined point total of the season. What needs to happen? What needs to be better from that standpoint to get back to their normal level of production?
Just playing to your strengths. Catching the basketball, being simple. If they play you one-on-one, be aggressive. If they double you or they scrape or they put extra people in there, get the ball out of your hands. No different than anybody else. But we also had fewer possessions because we turned it over. I think we just got to continue to get a crack at it, whether they're shooting the basketball or somebody else is shooting the basketball, because we've proven that we can get offensive rebounds. So now if you got a team that shoots great from the field, which we do, and shoots great from three, which we do, and has a good offensive rebounding percentage, which we do, it makes sense not to turn it over. So I think that's first and foremost for us, for anybody to play well and be efficient offensively. We got to just continue to get cracks at it.
You're not a great forcing turnover team,
right,
but they only had 3 in that first game, and 2 of them came from Trace Jackson-Davis.
Right.
How important will that be Saturday, maybe to force some mistakes on them?
Right, just having active hands, just like trying to be there. And it's just because you're forcing turnovers doesn't mean you're always gambling. Like, just being in the right place at the right time, having active hands. If they show weakness or they make mistakes, then being able to be aggressive at those times. But yeah, anytime you're not turning people over at all, it's one thing to force 10 turnovers, which isn't great either. It's what you want from an offensive standpoint. But if you're only forcing 3 turnovers, they're getting a lot of looks at the basket.
How do you categorize your senior class?
How would I categorize my senior class?
How would you describe their careers? What will you remember about them?
As a whole, I think they've gotten better each year. Mm-hmm. I think that's the development piece. I think we've raised the bar in terms of guys working on their game and putting extra time in and just doing a lot of little things. And I think that it's not just that class, it's a lot of classes, but I think that's where our program is. That, like, you're not that guy. You stand out. Mm-hmm. The people that work on their game in our program don't stand out because there's more people working on their game extra than there isn't. So I think those guys have gotten better each year. They won the league as freshmen. They went to an Elite Eight. They've been in the tournament now. This will be their 3rd time going to the tournament. So they've had a lot of success, but we've also, we've had some bumps in the road, and they've kept battling. So I think they've been resilient, they've been tough, and they've hung in there. A lot of times guys in today's window, they don't hang in there. Yes. Something's wrong, somebody leaves. It's like, they've learned to battle through adversity, and I think that'll help them in life.
Just the job Eric did defensively at Wisconsin. He really seemed to kind of rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
With that matchup.
Yeah, he was really good. He did a lot of good things, and that's my fault for not having him on him in the first place in the first game, because we didn't guard some guys, and what that did when we didn't guard some of those guys is it allowed us to not let Johnny Davis get his post-ups. If you guard everybody, then Johnny Davis is going to get his post-ups. So we didn't, there's a little bit of risk in what we did, but Eric did a fabulous job. He laid it on the line and made it hard for him to get into the paint, was there and contested his pull-ups and contested, a lot of his shots. He had some really bad misses in the game. And obviously one was so bad it went in. And but I thought he did great. I thought he emptied his tank and gave us all that he had.
Mason's had some foul trouble the last couple of games,
Yeah.
really limiting his minutes. How
Right.
much has that affected your team?
Yeah, it's really affected us. And, 2 of his 4 fouls were just totally bogus. And you go back and watch, and he plays 50 feet from you. You think that you just don't see it during the game. But, he had a rebound foul and then a guy driving one time. It's just, they're non-existent fouls. It's just, I feel bad for him. If you go in the game and you get in foul trouble 3 games in a row, and say you get 4 fouls in all 3 games and you have 12 fouls, and you go back and watch them and all 12 are fouls, like, you sit there and say, hey, I got to make an adjustment here. But like in his case, he's a physical player and he plays hard. You're going to have some fouls every now and then. So I don't want to take that away from him. And that's what I told him. I said, I don't want you to change how you play because you've got a couple, tough fouls. Now he's had it in the previous game. He had a couple that, he had to try to back up out of, and he just didn't. But I'd rather have to ratchet somebody down than take him up. He's a guy that, just competes and he plays hard, and I think that's probably the downside of it a little bit, but I'd rather have that than somebody who's, not playing very hard, not fouling at all. So